Hey everyone, welcome back to TechBit Academy. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel.
Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you've ever worked a day in an office, you already know the universal, everyday struggle. You get handed a massive list of tasks, a deadline of, well, yesterday, and a budget that's pretty much non-existent. You're constantly juggling all these shifting expectations, trying to keep every single plate spinning without letting anything crash to the floor. It often feels like you're being asked to perform actual magic. But what if I told you it isn't magic at all? There's a science to it. There's a fundamental physics to the way work gets done. So today, we're breaking down the exact mechanics of that struggle. We're going to look at the balancing act, the physics of project management. We'll use the core documents and definitions that outline this entire profession to help you understand exactly what is happening behind the scenes of your daily grind. So, why do projects always seem to run over budget or take way too long? It's the ultimate pain point, isn't it? We've all been in that kickoff meeting. Someone walks in with this grand vision. They want a spectacular, massive, highly complex final product. And the punchline? They want it delivered incredibly fast. And they want it done ridiculously cheap. It's the hilarious yet deeply painful paradox of the modern workplace. This impossible desire for things to be fast, cheap, and massive, all at once. We laugh because we know exactly how absurd it sounds, yet we face this expectation constantly. The reason projects run over budget or miss deadlines is almost always because we try to ignore the fundamental laws governing the work. Okay, let's dive into this. The solution to that impossible chaos isn't magic. It's a formalized discipline. At its core, the project management profession is the career of planning, organizing, and managing projects to achieve specific goals within time, cost, and scope. I want you to really focus on those three action words: planning, organizing, and managing. This isn't just scribbling a quick to-do list on a sticky note. It's a highly structured approach to bringing order to chaos. Project management is the active, intentional process of steering a project toward a very specific goal while navigating the strict boundaries of time, money, and the actual work required. It's basically the antidote to that fast, cheap, and massive delusion. To truly understand how this works, we've got to look at the environment we operate in. Every single project operates within inescapable physics, which we call project constraints. These are the limitations or restrictions that affect how a project is completed. They define the boundaries within which the project must work. Think of constraints like the walls of a room or the laws of gravity. You can't just wish them away because they're inconvenient. Every time you try to execute a task, you're bumping right up against these limitations. Recognizing that you are always working inside defined boundaries is the absolutely crucial first step to gaining control over your project, rather than letting the project control you. And that brings us to the most famous boundaries of all, the Big Three, also known as the triple constraint. First, you have time, which is your schedule, simply how long the project is going to take. Second is cost, your budget, how much money is actually available to get the work done. And third is scope. What actual features or work are included in the final delivery? Now, I don't want you to look at these as just three independent bullet points. Think of them like gears in a very tight mechanism. They're an interconnected machine. The fundamental rule of the triple constraint is this: if one of these constraints changes, the others are immediately affected. You literally cannot touch one without sending a ripple through the other two. Now, what's really interesting is seeing this interconnected machine in action. Let's look at the first major trade-off: increasing scope. Imagine your project is well underway and suddenly a stakeholder pops in and says, "Hey, can we just add this one extra feature? Shouldn't be a big deal, right?" Well, that is an increase in scope. According to the physics of project management, adding more features or more work to the pile immediately demands more fuel and more clock ticks. You absolutely need more time and cost. You cannot add to the scope without expanding the schedule and increasing the budget. It's a direct cause and effect relationship that you have to fiercely protect. All right, let's flip the scenario and pick up the pace. Consider this next tension point: reducing time versus the need for more cost or resources. Let's say the deadline just got moved up. The boss wants it launched a month early. If you demand a faster timeline, you're compressing that schedule constraint. To survive that compression, you absolutely must increase the cost and resources. You're going to have to authorize overtime, hire temporary staff, or pay premium rates for faster tool delivery. You're squeezing one side of the triangle so the other side has to bulge out to compensate. A shrinking timeline forces an inflating budget. There are simply no free shortcuts. And here is the final piece of this cause and effect cycle: reducing cost versus reducing scope or quality. This is honestly perhaps the most painful truth in all of business. If the budget gets slashed, Say management tells you to cut 20% of the cost. You cannot miraculously deliver the exact same massive project in the exact same amount of time. If you cut the fuel, the engine slows down. Reducing the cost inevitably forces a sacrifice. You either have to reduce the scope by cutting features and delivering less work, or you have to reduce the quality. This is the ultimate reality check for anyone asking for something on the cheap. You're going to get less, or it won't be as good. That is the undeniable math of the trade-off.
But we all know the real world is messy, and time, cost, and scope aren't the only walls closing in on you. If we zoom out from just the triple constraint, we see some other critical boundaries. First up, resources. You might have the budget, sure, but you face limited staff, tools, or equipment. You just can't find the engineers to do the work. Next is quality, which is the required performance level. Sometimes it's not enough to just finish a feature. It has to perform flawlessly under immense pressure. And finally, legal and regulatory boundaries. These are the strict rules and laws imposed by outside forces. These add whole new layers of complexity to how you balance your project's gears.
To really ground this theory, consider this specific example. Banking software absolutely must follow security laws. This brilliantly illustrates a constraint that simply cannot be compromised or traded away. With a triple constraint, you can negotiate. You can ask for more money to get more time. But a legal or regulatory boundary, that is a hard stop. If you're building banking software, you can't say, well, we're running out of time and budget, so let's just make the user data slightly less secure. Yeah, no way. That is not an option. The laws dictate a non-negotiable boundary. It proves that in project management, some walls are completely immovable, and all of your planning, organizing, and managing has to mold around them. Which brings us to the final, most crucial question. Look at your current project right now. Ask yourself, which constraint is going to break first? Is it your schedule, your budget? Is the scope creeping way out of control, or are you bumping up against a hard regulatory wall? Understanding the definitions we've covered today, from the core profession of project management to the delicate, interconnected balance of time, cost, and scope, gives you the power to actually diagnose the tension in your daily work. The physics of project management are always acting upon you. The question is, are you going to let the constraints dictate your failure, or are you going to actively manage the balance? Keep that in mind the next time someone asks you for something fast, cheap, and massive. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.